good evening, and how are you all this evening?
Evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, very
Good
good.
afternoon.
How well is your being this evening?
Hmm. Ah, being.
How well is your being this evening?
It is. It is.
Anyone else? How well is your being this evening? You're not sure how well your being is? Anastasia, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Anastasia,
Uh-huh.
you're sounding like you're being. What? You okay?
Yes, I okay.
Okay. Well, I check in. I'm making sure. So, how well is your being today?
My being is being.
All right. Okay.
Ah,
I completely understand. I completely understand. So, I guess after tonight's session, your being might be better than okay. Yeah?
yes.
All right. Hello, Alexis. We haven't seen you in a little while.
Hey, how are you
Yes.
guys?
We are very, very good. And how about you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Okay, okay. Very good to note. And how were your beings this week?
Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Okay.
You try to, at least I try to look at what went the week before and to see where there was growth or what I tried new or doing some self reflection where you see that because sometimes you spend a lot of time, me, and you will look across the yard at your neighbor, literally,
Mm-hmm.
and you will say, this person is not doing this, and I expect that from the person, and they look at what they're doing, and whatnot, and whatnot. And then you realize that the only reason you're seeing that in the person is because that is you. And where you're looking at things like your expectation of other people. And then you have to sit and say, well, what did you learn? You learned that you, first of all, you cannot control other people. And so you're wasting your time with all the expecting. So for this week in particular, those thoughts were occupying my mind and looking to see where, you don't like to give up control of things, but looking to see where you have to step back, where you have to just say, not everyone is the same, and you can't be expecting people to like what you like, do what you like, be where you are. And so that was my week in a quiet way, in just not really sitting down in one spot thinking of anything in particular, but as the thoughts came, trying to work in those areas and on those areas so that I want to see some progress, because I think in the progress you also get peace of mind when you're letting go of certain things that you're always quarreling about to yourself. Because when one thing I remember this week in particular was the line that says, your soul does not know anybody but you.
Mm-hmm.
Your soul does not know other people. It's your soul and it does not know other people. So if you're grumbling about something, your soul thinks it's you. The issue is you. Your soul records it as you are having this issue. And so when that thought came back to me, it was a question of no, 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 but I can't afford to have things recorded like that because then the what is doing the recorded might decide, okay, well, if that is the case, then this is what you want. You want more of this, you want more of this, you want more of this, because this is where you keep talking about all of this. So in a quiet way, this past week I was working, not trying, I was working in those areas, and the intention is that to continue more of that. So as it comes up, I want to be able to address it without spending too much time there first. So
Yeah.
the thought comes, work out of it. The thought comes, work out of it, and then see what the difference will be, what the difference is. So that was me for this week.
Okay.
I think it's raining.
Would anyone else like to share? How was your week? And I'm seeing a few new persons, so I would like to welcome. And for the persons who log in as guests, I know that you are probably unaware, but if you log in as guests, we cannot really identify who you are, one. And if I call on you to be part of the conversation, I am not sure who I am calling. So it is something to be mindful of when you do log in. And I wanted to welcome AD and Sabrina to tonight's session. Are you all there?
Welcome, Sabrina. Welcome, Iggy.
Okay. And I'm not sure if AD, because I know for some devices you cannot turn your mic or camera on. So everyone's week was okay?
Yes.
Any difficulties, or were you able to overcome them? Any challenges you encountered?
I think I didn't have challenges. I can't remember over the weekend. But I had this patient that I was talking to today,
Mm-hmm.
and she reminded me of where I was years ago.
Mm,
She has a lot of like she has a lot of like people that passed in her family. Um and she's just going through like depression.
mm-hmm.
And it's like you can't really explain to her like you have to really change up the way that you think so you don't get more of it. And I was saying to her like you have to look at the cup half full and not half empty, because she had a surgery done before, and she's like, yeah, but now I have to have a surgery done again and I don't want to have the surgery. And I'm saying, but you nobody could do this for you. You have to do it for yourself. But it was just for me, like, this is where I was. And through her, I could see where I am and my growth. And looking at her, it's like, there's so many people that don't know what we know
Mm-hmm.
as the not the truth, but who you really are and how you're really supposed to live. And they're still in that mindset of not knowing how to work out of, or not knowing that they have the ability to change their life moving forward. But she is so stuck in the past and what has happened, and you could tell she's just reliving it and reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. And there's not much I could say to her, like she have to experience it herself. But it was just it was just something to behold today.
Yeah, because your observation would primarily have been Sometimes we come on and we discuss how sometimes your life could be in a loop and sometimes you're unaware. A lot of persons, they are not even aware that they are in a loop. And when you are in a loop or you are in a pattern for so long, it is very, very difficult to come out of it. And that is why even when we come on and we discuss the importance of being mindful or staying present in the present moment, because just like her, from your observation, you would recognize that because she is in that loop, she can't see anything else, she cannot hear anything else, she cannot experience anything else. So that is a limit that she has placed upon herself. And within that, of course, the opportunities are just passing by, passing by, passing by, passing by.
But it's also that she doesn't even know how to get out of it.
Yes, a lot of times you are unaware how to get out of the loop.
Because I was explaining to her, when she was talking about how depressed she was, and I said to her, like, I felt like I was in this dark hole and you had to just be like clawing your way up, trying to climb up. And she's like, yes, that's exactly how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I told her about befitment, but she's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, she's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm saying to her, it's like, you have to choose you. You have to, fight for you. And she's like, I was like, what you're going to do is either you fight or you give up. The choice is yours. Nobody can make that choice for you. But she's so, well, I did this before and I had this before, and I don't know why I'm going through this, over and over and over. And I was like, everybody's going through stuff. We all faced with challenges, but it's how we deal with the challenges, how we look at the challenges. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to then just sit back and try to see what the lesson in this is for you. And she was from the Caribbean. And she said, I just don't know how to, she don't know how to just relax.
Yeah. Yes.
Because she's saying, oh, she have to be out of work. And she was out of work for a while, and now she was thinking about going back to work. And she's like, yeah, and then this happened to me. So now I have to be out of work again. I was like, but maybe you need to be out of work. So it was
Yeah.
quite.
And even when we discuss when you hold on to a feeling for too long, this is another example of it. Once you stay in that feeling, that is what you send out, that is what you attract out of life. So you would realize she is experiencing, she getting similar experiences as well. And she asking herself, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And again, once you stay in the feeling, whatever experience you have, it is simply an experience. You experience the experience, you learn from it, and then you move on. But if you choose, and again, I know we also talk about the psychology of things as well. Once you keep making the same choice, you are going to get the same results. You are going to attract the same things. You cannot wish and hope for a different result, put no effort in, and get the results that you want. You really have to be mindful and make a different choice. Every opportunity you get, you really have to be mindful in making a different choice, because if you don't, then you would remain stuck. So you're living in 2025 and your mind is focused on something that happened in 2020. And life is simply just passing you by. Instead of shifting your focus on what you would like to see. And that is also a great example of how our minds can be consumed with experiences from the past and just have us stuck. And it is very difficult to unstick yourself. And that is why you really have to. I know I come on and I always ask you all, like, when you get the opportunity to practice the wisdom, what do you do with it? Are you putting it into practice or are you making the same choices? Because if you are making the same choices, you are going to get the same results. And this is also a perfect example of it. And it is just something for everyone to be mindful of in moving forward. Because if you really want to see different results, you have to make a different choice. And life requires effort. Because if you just get up and decide, I don't want to do this anymore, and then you just lie down on your bed, that is what it will be. But life requires effort. And even as we discuss tonight's topic, which is from personal to professional, I have a question for you. And the question is, who are you when no one is looking?
I think it's so funny because who am I when I'm not when no one is looking is really that's your true self, in the sense that it wouldn't be a true self living to your fullest capacity, but is that's when there's no lies. You're not putting up a front. You're not trying to make anybody feel like you are not, but that's who you know you that's who you truly are, with all your imperfections, because when nobody's looking, you just be you. But it's when we feel like we have eyes on us, then the ego step in, or then you want to put on this, well, I'm okay, well, in a quiet moment you're crying because something is going on that you can't deal with, but when people are looking, you put on this brave, facade, and like, no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. So when nobody's looking, that's when you are your true self, in terms of how you are feeling and where you are in that moment.
Yes, yes. Anyone else would like to share? Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you? Is it pretense? Is it a mask that falls off? Who are you when no one is watching? Do you always feel that when someone is watching, you have to put on a show? You have to present um, a fake sense of well being, a fake sense of, well, I am okay, I am good. And then when you are by yourself, it is a different story. Yes, Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
I remember a time in my life when, even when no one was watching, I was watching. And I did not want to acknowledge to myself that things were not, that I really wasn't happy. And I would have these thoughts sometimes of just walking, starting to walk. And, like in Forrest Gump, where he just started walking, and then he walked and he walked and he walked and then he ran. And even then, it was difficult for me to say to myself, I don't like this. I'm not happy with this. Because I always felt that if I admitted that to myself, then I would start to cry. And I always felt as though if I started to cry, I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't know how to stop, and I'd end up really, 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 really screaming. So I never really wanted to, even when I was alone and no one was watching, I did not, it was as though I was watching. There was still this other person watching. And so you had to keep it together. You just had to keep it together. Now, mind you, Years later, you say, well, you realize that in order to keep it together, you had to admit certain things because you were just almost like on what is the word I'm looking for? Like pins and needles with yourself.
Yeah.
And so you're operating almost as though there was a permanent wall there where you had to protect something because the thing was very, very fragile. There was a fragility to it that if you if you if you even let it, if I even let it slip, there would be significant loss. So that was me back in the day, back then. And so when I heard the question, my mind went back to that space. And then how did I get out of it? To where Lisa is talking about you, it's a true you. I still don't think I'm 100% there, but I think that I am in the night 90s because there's an acknowledgement that there's no reason to. First of all, there's no reason for the wall. There's no reason for the box. There's no reason for the if you're not feeling your best, it's okay to be there. You don't have to always be because things may happen that you have to deal with. Things that you may encounter things that cause you to search yourself again. And it doesn't mean back then to search would mean that I was less than. I would see myself as less than this imaginary thing that I had in my head. So now the thing in your head is the thing in your head,
Mm-hmm.
fake and made up. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to acknowledge that you may need some work, you still need some more work in some areas. And so now, who am I when no one is looking? Closer to truth than before. A good solid 95. Yes. Up in the high 90s.
Yes, yes, yes. Would anyone else like to share? And the question was, who are you when no one is watching? Who are you? Are you the same person? Is there a difference? When it is when other people are watching, you think that you have to put on a show, you have to put on a mask, you always have to appear as though you have everything together. Who are you when no one is looking? Who are you?
And I think the question, who are you when no one is looking, it could just be, sometimes you have to stand strong in the presence of your kids, you know? And sometimes as a parent, I've been like a single parent, and you had a rough day, you had financial things going on, and you always think, these are adult situations, so your kids don't need to know. And in the face of your kids, you have to like put on that mask that everything is fine, everything is fine. But once that door is closed and it's just you, then sometimes you break down because it's like, oh, this is so much, But like Catherine was saying, I think that even my daughter said to me, because I think I still do that when it comes to finances. And, you try to cover everything, you try to do this, you try to do that. I'm the parent, I don't need to talk about, what I'm going through financially. And my daughter is saying to me, like, if you don't speak on it, we don't know and we can't help.
I was just about to tell you that from the perspective of a child to a parent. Because you see, it is in those experiences we also remember we are getting the opportunity to learn, because we getting the opportunity to learn. Let me see how mommy overcome this. Let me see what steps she put into place. Let me see what she did. Because remember, this is our opportunity to be guided for future reference. Whereas you might be trying to put on the strong face, because you would recognize too, within that, children are growing real thinking that I'm not supposed to cry, I'm not supposed to break, I'm not supposed to release. When in truth and in fact, sometimes you need to cry. Sometimes you need to just, sometimes, yes, you might lose it for a minute, you might lose it for 5 minutes, you might lose it for a day. And it is okay, because those feelings will come. But it is in managing the feelings when they do come is what is important. So even though as parents you might be thinking that I don't want to see my child in a weak state, but it is not really a weak state, because it is just part of life and everybody experiences it. And in seeing that from the perspective of a child, it would also help us learn how to manage, how to overcome, how to remain calm, how to feel the feeling for 10 minutes, and then, okay, I felt this feeling for 10 minutes. Let me ask the question, what is next? Let me ask the question, where do I go from here? So that I can practice navigating when challenging situations arise in my life. And again, this is not to say that as a parent you have to go and put yourself down a guilt trip, and you have to go and feel bad, and you have to go and do all these things. This is not what this is. It is just an opportunity to learn something new, to learn a different perspective. You do not have to go and send yourself down the rabbit hole. You do not have to go and send yourself down the rabbit hole at all. It is just, this is also an opportunity for learning. And remember, that is really what life is about. It is always about learning in the moment, because whatever you learn, whatever life presents to you that you learn, is also preparing you for where you are going. Because I know I've told you all about the instances where I got the opportunity to go and do, I think it was stock taking at another branch. And I said, no, I am not going. Who is paying me for that? And then when I was supposed to apply for a job that had stock taking, I had to pass the job straight. I could not apply because I did not take the opportunity to go and learn. So again, in so many different small instances, we realizing that we're really blocking ourselves off. And I know that is what we spoke of last week in terms of attraction and boundaries. Because a lot of times we create a lot of unwanted boundaries, and we're not even aware that we are functioning within them. You create so much boundaries to keep things out, not realizing that you're also blocking the opportunities as well. Yes, Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes. What I was, when I was speaking, one of the things that I found was very liberating for me, because I also held the view that you cannot let your children see you weak, quote unquote. And you have to do everything, and you have to be strong, and you have to stand up, and you don't know where things coming from, but you have to give this impression, because I saw my mother do it. And so my mother would not discuss finances, but if you were in the house, you would know what is what. Um, and I started it that same way. And one day, a very wise person said to me, your child is very intelligent. Speak with him, and he will understand. And I didn't do it right away. But gradually, I let it be known what the finances were, what was income, what was not coming in, what were some of the bills and the expenses. And I saw a change in the way things worked after that. One, there was no great expectation of large amounts of expenditure. There was a there was more awareness that these are the things that need to be taken care of on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, and this is what it is. So that took the pressure off of me. And I also found support from that same source in that they would understand and they would then assist or they would do things to bring about a little bit of independence. And so they got a little bit more creative in how they address things, how they wasted things, how they viewed things, so that I did not have to be then trying to cover those empty spaces, because I let it be known, listen, every month, this is the figure that must be covered. And therefore, it freed me a lot. I would say that it freed me. There are some things I would still hold closer to my chest. But now, of course, well, he's an adult now. But back then, you let it be known that this is it. So I no longer feel that I have to, even if I had another child right now or a young person in my life, it would be a question of, listen, these are what the real, this is the reality of finances, expenses. If things you're not having a good day, if things you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and you need some time for yourself, say that.
Mm-hmm.
Say all of that. Because it it takes away the pretense. And the pretense is very expensive on a parent, because particularly when we are single parents, or we might be married and still single parents, but there's a sort of, especially for women, let me don't speak for women, let me speak for myself, there's a sort of burden you already place on yourself, in that you have made a decision to raise another person in a single sort of way. You would have family, you would have relatives, but they are not responsible primarily. And so there's always that additional burden that you place on yourself. Are you doing it right? Are you doing the thing? You want to be successful. You don't want this person to be a failure based on what society calls a failure. And so when you add financial problems to that and financial issues to that, and you trying to be strong, and so you find yourself trying to be strong for this one, that one, even the three you're trying to be strong for, and you are just crumbling on the inside. And before long, what would have happened was a simple thing, I would just explode.
Yes.
And I needed to never get to that point. That was always my thing. You can't afford to explode. You can't afford to let the pressure cooker go. And so by getting the advice for, speak, that advice helped me a lot. And when I put it into practice, it really helped me a lot. So I just wanted to share that with you, Lisa, in particular.
And in addition to that, you also have instances where the younger ones solve the issue. Because I've had a situation where my laptop desk, the wheels kept coming off, but they were something that you would just push in. So I tried gluing it in, everything had not staying on. I spoke to my father to try, so we're trying to figure out which glue to use. Spoke to my brother-in-law, and I have a cousin. All of them are very good with their hands and they are accustomed in this area. And it is driving me crazy because I could be using it just as I am now, and the legs could give way, and then the laptop fall. And then my nephew, I remember just casually bypassing, talking about it, and he was like, "Auntie, so why you don't just get a screw and screw it in?" And I was like, wow, I have been speaking to the adults who have been doing this for years, and my nephew came with the solution. And you're thinking, well, he now born, he don't know anything. So you would recognize that sometimes they also have the solution. So someone sent something in the chat, so let me just read it. I was going to mention why in I Am Alone, the struggle lies mostly with permission to feel and reflect on why certain feelings are more pronounced during certain moments. Yes. And I know you are new to this podcast, but what we always invite persons to do is spend some time with you. In the beginning, especially if it is something that you are not accustomed doing, it will be uncomfortable. And again, that is fine. Because I am telling you all, as befitment, what we also encounter is that a lot of persons, they're experiencing similar things. Nobody wants to talk about it. And as soon as one person brings it to the forefront, everybody is like, I am going through the same thing. Because we are all experiencing similar things. It may not be the same, but it is similar. So start spending some time with you. And in spending some time with you, you have to pay attention to what is coming up when you're spending the time with yourself. Spend the time. It might, yes, it might be uncomfortable. Feelings, sometimes it is uncomfortable, and that is why we always try to suppress it and try not to feel in the moment. But you have to also remember that feelings are indicators of where you are. So even if you might be feeling the feeling, you could identify, okay, I am feeling sad because. And it is also important to take note of what you are feeling and not how you are feeling. Because remember, feelings are temporary, they do not define who you are. And a lot of times, what happens is that we base decisions on temporary feelings. So you might determine, okay, I am feeling sad in this moment. What am I feeling? I am feeling sad in this moment because a memory was brought up about something that happened before and it had you feeling sad. Okay, I am feeling sad. You let the moment pass, or even you might be feeling tired. What am I feeling in this moment? I am feeling tired. Why am I tired? Because I was scrolling on my phone for the past 5 days. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to sleep on time. Make the adjustment. Okay, because you recognize you're tired, you're snapping at people, you don't have a lot of patience. What am I feeling? I am feeling tired in this moment. Let me do what is required for my body. Go to sleep earlier. Identify what you are feeling. Okay, I am feeling this because, and then you keep it moving. If you stay in a feeling for too long, remember, just as Lisa explained earlier, with the person that she encountered, that person has been in that feeling for a very long time. And what life would have created as a challenge has now been turned into a problem. And that problem is going to grow and multiply. If you are not mindful of what you are feeling instead of how you are feeling. Even if you are feeling tired in this moment, okay, I need to get some rest. After you get the rest, you realize, okay, I am feeling like I have a bit more energy, and I hope that this does answer your question. And if you do have any more, please feel free to ask. I really hope it does answer your question. And you would have some questions, but again, as you keep logging on week after week, you would get the tools required to assist you in those moments. And again, don't forget to put it into practice. That is the only way that it would really work for you if you put it into practice.
Could I say something
Yes.
to um to that question? Well, two things. As Catherine was talking, something came to me about the lady that I was talking about at
Hmm.
my job. You know, she's been so caught up in her feelings and
Yeah.
stuff, and that could have been what manifested into her body reacting the way that it's doing, into
It
whatever,
always does.
whatever physical manifestation that manifested. Because a lot of times we don't really even realize that when you process or you don't let go or you stay stuck in the feeling, it takes a toll on your body.
It
And
does.
we really don't realize that, okay, the high blood pressure, the depression, the diabetes, the cancer, these are all things that is manifesting because we didn't take care of our or minimize our feelings and emotion, and kind of keep them in check. So with that being said, in terms of the question and you're answering the responding to her answer, it's okay to feel it. It doesn't mean that you have to, like she said, get rid of it in 5 minutes. It could be a
No.
day, it could be 2 days, it could be 3 days, but don't let it stay and linger and fester
Hmm.
for extended period of time, because what you think about is what you're going to attract. So you stay in that mindset, you think, oh my gosh, this is happening and I can't get out of this, and then you're just going to get more of it and more of it and more of it, and then that is probably going to spiral into you becoming even more mentally uneased, you know. So it's okay. Don't It doesn't mean that you have to jump out of it in 5 minutes. And it's okay to allow yourself to feel it. It's okay to be human, because a lot of times when we feel like that, we beat up on ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's okay to give yourself grace, because that's, for me, is where I learned about self-love, because that's not something that, like I said, for me, like growing up, like you had your parent who really taught you how to have that high self-esteem and you're enough, and so we had to learn how to give to ourselves, how to love ourselves, how to appreciate ourselves, how to spend time with ourselves, how to just let yourself be and learn how to relax and not think that we always have to keep going and going and going. But knowing that, you fell, you skin your knee, it's okay. And you just get up and, you know, try to see what the lesson is in whatever situation arise, and try to build on that. But don't beat yourself up because of it.
Hmm. And now the easiest thing is to beat yourself up. The easiest thing is to speak ill of yourself, but it really doesn't serve you at all. It does not serve you at all. Because again, when it comes to children, we look at kids and we say, well, they're learning, but remember, every day is a new opportunity to learn, even for you. So if you don't beat up on kids while they are in the learning process, what makes you any different? Because sometimes, even for you, at whatever age you are currently, you're learning something new. So beating up on yourself, because again, life is about learning. Life is about challenges, overcoming the challenges. You would feel a lot of different things and utilize it how it should be utilized, and do not utilize it how it should not be utilized, because then you recognize that. There is a lot more things that comes after that. So initially, when the question was asked, who are you, and no one is watching, it is because it starts with how you design your life. Because how you design your life, how you choose to design your life, personally, would of course flow into professional. So even when you think about your life, how is it designed? When it is just you, what shapes you? What influences you? What are some of your habits? What is your mindset? Because if you have a mindset where you think that life is against me and I am easily defeated and the world is against me, when you go to work and you approach whatever activity that you have to get done, then you would have that same mindset and you would recognize that everything then becomes difficult in life. Because when you look at the question, you realize that there is no difference between personal and professional. You are you. Because if you decide that I have to be this way when I am home, I have to be this way when I am at work, when really all you have to be is the best version of you wherever you are, whenever you are. That is all that is required. You being the best version of yourself wherever you are, whenever you are. That is all that there is. There is no difference. There is no mask to fall off when you get home. There is no mask to put on when you are in public. Because how you design your personal foundation is what would flow into everything else. What habits do you have? Are you always late? Do you always make an excuse for things? Because if that is what it is, then that is what it would be in every area of your life. So even for the person who asked the question before about the feelings, that is why it is important to really sit with yourself. Ask the questions. I know that when you are sitting alone, you are thinking that this is craziness. Who am I speaking to? But in asking the question, you have to also remember that everything is listening to you. So, in asking a question, you would also recognize that wait, some answers starting to come. Let me pay attention to the answers. Now, when you hear what the answers are, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to simply say, well, I will do it tomorrow? Because when you look at life, all you have is now. When tomorrow comes, the opportunity is gone. And I could tell you an example. I know I gave this example many times where I was told, you ask the question, what time to leave home? Because I had to go and do something on my car, left home late, reached to the mechanic. He had a lot of cars in his yard. Now I have to wait. So I said, okay, let me go to the gas station. Went to the gas station. Rain started to fall. The gas station was not a covered gas station. I got wet. Got back in my car, went to the mechanic again. When I reached to the mechanic, what he had to work on, he had to work on it when there is no gas in the car. So now you have to do everything all over because you did not follow instructions. You did your own thing. You asked the question. You were told to leave home by a certain time. You did not. And then you end up doing everything in reverse. And then what you said, life is difficult. Everything is against me. But when the thought comes to act, what do you do with it? That is why it really is important to spend some time with you and move when you are supposed to move. You do not wait. Do not wait. Because in waiting, you are creating more space. So even if you were this close to the goal, the space just getting wider and wider and wider. And the time is also doing the same thing. So what would have taken you 2 days is now 2 years. And then sometimes you have the same goals, the same resolutions, the same things you want to achieve year after year, and you're not sure why you're still in the same space. This is why you are still in the same space. Because when you get the answers, You really have to move. If you don't move, you would keep getting the same results. And even when you sit to think about what you want and say set your or design your personal foundation, remember you have to design any house, any structure. Do you design it onshore or do you design it where there is clarity and you're sure that this structure is sound? So even when you think about your design, what would you like to experience? Remember also, life belongs to you. So when you think about it, what do you want to experience? So even if you say, I am designing some structure or designing routine, my routine for the day, and you decide, okay, every morning between 6 and 9 a.m., I am doing this. Or if it is you're going out for a walk, you come back, you ensure that you have a healthy breakfast, or you want to start to make smoothies. What are you designing? Then between 9 and 12, you could, for those who, persons who are home or you have the opportunity to be at home, you just could say, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going outside with my plants. From this time to this time, I will cook lunch. Then from 1 to 3 could be a rest period. Then from 3 to 6, you could decide you are going to read a book. And then you would realize once you put the design in place, because there is only one you, there is not a you for personal and a you for professional. There is only one you. If you keep making a separation, then you would realize, okay, I have to put on the mask today. Wait, wait, wait. I can't come downstairs as yet. Somebody outside, but you can't go outside because you have to put on the mask. And then when the person leaves, you have to take off the mask. So you constantly have to look for this mask to put it on based on who you are presenting yourself to. When there is only you. And the only thing that there should be is the best version of you. How can you know what the best version of you is if you do not spend time with yourself? And sometimes you might think the best version of you is what your neighbor is doing, is what your cousin is doing, is what your friends are doing. No. The best version of you is for you to discover when you spend time with you. Because if not, you would keep living somebody else's life based on what you are seeing through your perception. And it never really works out. It will be frustrating because what is for that person is not what is for you. And you really have to spend the time with yourself. Yes, it might be uncomfortable initially, but then you would get there. Catherine, I'm see that you have your hand raised.
Oh my goodness. Adana, as you said, run down the step because somebody is there. So I'm going to put in a little plug here. Old clothes,
Yes.
old torn up clothes, home, old things, old pin up things, old paint up things, and you're not painting. And you know, you're always well dressed on the road, but you're home, you're treating yourself the worst. That also goes into there's only one you.
Mm-hmm.
Treat yourself nicely. You know, you have nice wares in the cupboards. Eat off of those wares. And that might not be on the in the it's an outward sign of how you are thinking of yourself. You know, you share the best with others and you don't give the best to you. And that starts the problem right there. That really starts and reinforces it. So as you said, run downstairs, just I
Mm-hmm.
started to laugh again. So, you know, the cups with the broken handles. And I could just get up one day and say, I feel wealthy. I'm wealthy and just throw those away. It's best to have one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because your personal choices will shape your professional success. Because it is the same thing. Like reflects like. There is no difference. It is the same thing. And that is why, because I know I have an aunt who I stay by sometimes, and I would be annoyed with her at first. And then I recognize, okay, that there is something to learn here. Because with everything that she does it to the best of her ability, which sometimes annoys me. And let me tell you why. When I would like to do a shortcut, she does not allow me to do the shortcut. So sometimes, like if I was taking out food the other day and I couldn't find the cover for a bowl, and I was like, I don't have time with this. I put a piece of foil on it. If she had seen that, she would have had a fit. I remember another time I went there and the bed's made up as though I am in the Hyatt, and I'm like, another time I had to borrow a towel from her, and the towel folded as though it came straight out of a. It is not just folded. You know how a regular person would fold a towel? No. And the thing is, once this is something that is part of you, because whatever you are doing, you're doing it to the best of your ability, then your whole life takes that shape. Your entire life takes that form, so much so that everything that she does, it takes more effort, but to her now, that is just what is required. So she doesn't see it as effort. She just sees it as, this is my best. I am doing my best. And it is shown up in every single thing that she does. Every single, the simplest thing. Even the bottle for the water cooler, to change the bottle, to put it on the water cooler, she would take the bottle, put it in the sink, and wash the bottle. And I am always just amazed. And even to mop the floor, she would boil a whole pot of water to mop the floor because of something, and I don't know. And it is what is best to mop her floors. And you would recognize that once this is something that you start to practice, it would show up in every area of your life. Whatever you are doing, do it to the best of your ability. A lot of times, just like me, and I admit sometimes, yes, you want to do the shortcut because you just want this to be over. But in the long run, it is really not beneficial to you. Yes, we want to do we're always looking for an easy way out. And sometimes some things require more effort. Because even when you go to buy something, you always want what is best. But then when you have an activity to do, then it should be the same thing as well. You are always presenting what is best for you. And once you put these things into practice, you would recognize that you would start to see the benefits of it. Because the person to start, because a lot of times we would do, if you have to do something for somebody else, you would do the best and give them the best and take the most amount of time to make sure that is the best. But then when it comes to yourself, you're always giving yourself 50%, 30%, 10%. Why not also practice that when it comes to you? Why do you only practice it when it comes to other persons? Is it because you are looking for validation from the other persons that when this person has to do something for me, it is always the best? But then when it comes to yourself, then you recognize that you don't, everything starts with you. Everything starts with you. And we even have one of the posts from this weekend. Let me just share it for you so that you can see where the post said, start with you. Know what you want, allocate the time, and make the effort. Your greatest investment will always begin with self. But we don't tend to do that. You don't tend to do it at all. You tend to do it when it comes to other people. But everything starts with you. You get up in the morning, just as Catherine was explaining, because in one of our sessions, where she did a session on being dowdy, and you would recognize that everything starts with how you treat with you. So when you have on things that have holes and things that are tattered and stuff, that is how you would treat with everything else. And a lot of times too, we thinking that we are undeserving of it. But are you really undeserving of it when you think about it? So even this week, practice doing what is best for you. Because there is only one you. There is not the mask that I put on professionally and then the mask that I take off when I am home. There is only one you. So practice living in that space where there is only one you. So whatever you set for yourself when you are at home, it is the same thing when you are at work or when you are in a professional setting. It is something to practice. Does anyone have any questions? No? Do you all understand what was discussed?
Yes.
Okay. I know sometimes it is a lot, and sometimes in thinking about it, you're thinking that, oh my gosh, this is a mountain. How am I even going to achieve this? But once you put it into practice, you would definitely get there. So let me let you all know what the schedule is for this week at the Balance Center, of course. So tonight, of course, the discussion starts on a Monday where we discuss from personal to professional design. And tomorrow from 10 a.m. we have B Squad, which is our youth initiative where we go out to schools and we spend some time with the kids there and we discuss similar topics as we do on a Monday and throughout the week. And then from 6 p.m. we will be discussing redefining success through legacy. So shifting personal milestones to meaningful living. And then from 7 p.m. we have the Be Fit, Fuel and Flex full body workout where we sweat, smile. I'm not really sure about the smile aspect and thrive through our group fitness session. On Wednesday, we are closed in observance of the Republic Day holiday, and we will be back on Thursday from 10. Well, with B Squad, we are in the schools then 6 p.m., where we would be discussing building a future that outlives you. So it would be a personal leadership and sustainable life initiative session. And from 7 p.m. again, we have the Be Fit, Fuel and Flex full body workout. Friday, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3 p.m., we have Free to Be, where we have the opportunity to celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind. And on Saturday, we have consultations and counseling from 10. And then from 3 p.m., we will be closed. And of course, for those of us who we do see from Tuesday to Tuesday, our premium members, would anyone like to share what their experience is like? For the sessions during the week.
I think the sessions
Outside
during
of
the
the Monday, not including the Monday. How
yeah
is
the sessions during the week is a bit more in depth,
it?
a deeper explanation, a deeper understanding, deeper foresight um, of things that we discussed on a Monday. I know for me, Mondays is good. It's like a group chat, but I think Tuesday to Thursday it really kind of cements everything because it goes deeper into explaining the whys and the hows and the whos, and it gives you like a practical examples of how to apply the tools that you learn about, and it helps to reinforce what is discussed on Monday, and it helps to reinforce the tools that you acquire over the period of time. So it's like anything that you go to school is like everything is repetition, right? You learn everything through repetition. The more you hear it, the more you could apply it, the more you understand it, the more wisdom or understanding you get in anything through repetition. So it just means like you hear it Monday, it goes deeper, it's broken down into different perspective or different ways of kind of like hearing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, it's just like the repetition, and then in addition to that, the genius goal question is another way to then personalize it because you're hearing it in a general sense, but with the genius goal question, now it's like, okay, now I have to sit with myself and analyze myself and in terms of how am I going to apply what I've learned in a scenario in my life. So it goes full circle. It goes full circle.
And how has it helped you with experience in life?
But like I was saying today, like when I had to deal with that patient and I saw where she was today, it was that's where I was,
Mm-hmm.
so I could say for Genius Goal, with listen coming on Mondays, with coming on Tuesdays through Thursdays, it shaped me into who I am today. That I could now see someone and be like, oh wow. So it's like you're seeing yourself outside of yourself, like that's where I was,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not it's not a comfortable place to be, but knowing what I know now and having the wisdom and having the tools and having the understanding that I have now, it's really a blessing to be able to, because things evolve, everything, everyone evolve, nothing stays the same. And you of yourself, you're here for a reason, right? You want to evolve, but like you always say, you have to put things in practice. You can't want change and not make change.
Mm-hmm.
And by seeing her, I could see how far I've come because I have applied the change, because I've applied myself, because I, started to be true and honest with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a big thing. You have to really be honest with yourself and accept that, okay, this is where I am, but this is not where I want to be. And I have to go through that ugly, uncomfortable feeling to come out on the other side. So it has helped to transform my life tremendously.
Yeah, and a lot of times when faced with the feelings of being uncomfortable, we tend to shy away from it, but it is something that you always have to work through because the things that you are currently seeking is on the other side of that. You really have to work through it. And we always expect the road to be smooth, no potholes. And where we have to walk, we expect to see elevators or escalators. So we never really want to put the effort in, but it is the effort that is required to get you to where you need to be. And As we end tonight's session, I would like to let you all um, know. Let me just share it with you. Can you all see this post?
Yes,
So,
yes.
to do. This is to do. Focus on yourself starting today. It is really something that a lot of people bypass because everything starts with you. Everything starts with you. Look within. See what is required for you today from within. Ask the question when you get up: Self, what is required for you today? Before you proceed to do anything, ask yourself the question: Self, what is required for you today? And start from there. You do not have to have everything together. You do not always have to have the pieces together. You may not know what is the next 5 steps, but you may know what is the next step, which is important. So make the next step and see where it leads and focus on you starting now, wherever you are. It does not matter. Just start. That is the only thing that matters, starting. And once you make the first step, you would recognize that the other steps would start to reveal themselves. But if you do not make the first step, you will never know. And even sometimes in making the first step, you get unwanted results. Remember, it is about the lesson to be learned and not so much the results. Because probably in that instance, the results that you were seeking was not what is best for you in that moment. So even if you encounter unwanted results, it is not the end. You do not have to throw your hands up in the air and decide, I am quitting, I am a failure, and then you start to send yourself down a dark hole. It is an experience. I learn from the experience, and then you move on from the experience. That is all that it is. And once you take life as it is and you do not create problems from challenges, you would experience a different experience. And things would become a lot easier and simpler. But start from wherever you are today. So, guys, thank you for logging on. See you all next week. See some of you tomorrow. And for those, if you are not part of premium membership, feel free to reach out to us and we would guide you into getting there. If you are unsure, you can go to the app and you could type in the space bar 7-day pass and you would get the page, and you could also click on the add sign and you could sign up for it. So guys, have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful night and make the best choices for you, starting with you and not because of somebody else. Good night, everyone. See you all same place, same time next week, and see some of you all tomorrow.
Come have a good night.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.